I need gas money for my truck, so if anybody's willing to buy my Chevy Monza, beautiful shape, one owner, needs a tune-up, give me a call. Even has the original headlights. I'll even load it up in the bed and deliver it to you. Looks like we got ourselves a real truck, a Ford F-250. Can't complain about that, especially when you're not paying for it. We'll talk about the price later. This is a nice looking rig, especially with this bright red paint. And this has the Tremor package. It costs around $4,000. It's an off-road package. It gives you these 18-inch black colored wheels with 35-inch off-road tires for a start. A suspension that's lifted 2 inches along with some special shocks. Got some skid plates under there somewhere, but I'm not going to crawl under and look. Get these running step boards that supposedly make it easier to crawl into the vehicle. They help a little bit. A locking rear differential. Comes in handy if you get stuck. And here's your control, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and 4-wheel drive low. Pull this to lock the differential. And of course you'll get the Tremor decal, so everybody know you paid the extra money. One option you can have is this 12,000-pound built-in winch. $3,000 and it's yours. You have 3 engines available in the F-250. First up is a 6.2 gasoline engine, 385 horsepower, 430 pounds-feet of torque. Second up is a 7.3 liter gasoline engine, 430 horsepower, torque rating of 475. That's $2,000 extra over the 6.2. And for $10,500, this is the big kahuna, 6.7 liter diesel, 475 horsepower and 1,050 pounds-feet of torque. A real stump puller. And this is hooked to a 10-speed automatic transmission. According to the Ford website I looked at, the maximum towing ability with a double cabin 4-wheel drive is 15,000 pounds regardless of engine. With a smaller cab or 2-wheel drive, it drops a couple thousand pounds or so. Obviously you're going to be pulling 10,000 pounds or more. I think you would want the 7.3 gas or the 6.7 diesel, which is a nice engine if you can afford it. By the way, the maximum torque output on this diesel occurs at a low 1600 RPM. Very impressive. And the diesel comes with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty. If you're wondering how much this rig costs, I got the price sheet right here in my hand. Let's take a look. We'll put it on the computer screen. So you might be wondering how much this truck cost. I put it up on the computer screen here. It's larger that way. Here's all the options. Here's the price tag, over $24,000 in extras, if you notice that. And the total tab before tax and license. Made in Kentucky, for those who care. Buy American. And trucks this size are not rated for fuel economy, officially by the EPA. That's why you're on my video. We're going to take this on some long trips and get the real world fuel economy figures for you. So don't go away. That includes some off-roading too. By the way, if you love Ford trucks, we also tested the 2021 Ford F-150 3.5 liter hybrid. We'll have a link for that video at the end of this video. Just go to the end, click and watch. But if you have $100,000 to spend, we also did a video on this Ram TRX Hellcat. Yeah, what a truck that was. 8 miles to the gallon. Want to see that video? Go to the end, click and watch that too. And if you're going to load a lot of stuff, you'll appreciate this step that folds out. And you have a handle that comes out as well. There's a lot of room in the second row seating, and these seats do fold up. if you want to put a lot of heavy gear on the floor. Or take your girlfriend to the drive-in movie on a hot date. They actually do have drive-in movies in some cities. Still, not many. We get a very nice gauge cluster. And if you have a diesel, you're going to be putting in a lot of DEF fluid. It shows we're half empty or half full, depending on how you look at it. But according to the computer, that's good for 3,200 miles. The EPA does not rate heavy-duty trucks for fuel economy, but this has been in the fleet 1,914 miles, averaging 16.8 mpg. This wasn't put on by me, it's the previous drivers, but that's still a pretty good figure regardless of how they were driving. We'll be doing a lot more. Alright, that's enough show and tell. Let's do some driving. And one of the first things we do when we get a vehicle is take the headlights out and see how they perform in the dark. These are big ones. Wow. It's dark enough. Let's take these headlights out and see how they perform. Those are big ones. Here we have the low beams on a wall 100 feet away. Very good height. High beams. Looks pretty good to me. This isn't the biggest info screen I've ever seen, but it's big enough for me. Here's what the rearview camera looks like in the dark. A little bit on the grainy side, but it's good enough. And here we have the headlights, high beams, on a fence line 80 yards away and a building 130 yards away. Here are the low beams, barely reaches out. If you're paying attention, instead of a very bright white light, we got kind of a dull, low voltage yellow light. These work, but the lights just aren't very strong, surprisingly, but they do the job, so that's all that counts, I suppose. I'd rate the headlights very good. Let's put it that way. The power steering on this truck is a bit lighter than what I would like, but it's quick and responsive, so I don't think there's going to be any complaints. Besides, when you're pushing these giant tires, you probably want something that's a bit on the light side. As we do in all our videos, we're going to take some mild speed humps around 20 miles per hour, see how the suspension performs on impact. Here comes bump number 1. Well, with an empty bed, we expect a bit of bouncing around, especially with these stiff shocks, but comfortable nevertheless. Here comes the nasty speed bump. A bit of bouncing around. It is a heavy-duty truck. You would expect that, but nothing uncomfortable. We'll find out more when we take it off-road, like this was meant to be for. By the way, here's what the camera looks like in the daytime. Pretty good resolution. Yeah, there we go. That's for hooking up a trailer, as you see the hitch or something like that. Today we're going to take a fuel economy run, elevation 1,500 feet to 6,500 feet. As a result, the fuel economy is not going to be the best it could, but gives a chance to see how this diesel engine pulls on those steep upgrades. And at freeway speeds, this is a dream to drive. Very smooth, quiet. You think there'd be a lot of wind noise from these giant mirrors, but I'm not hearing much. At 75 miles per hour, we're pulling around 1,650 RPM, and 1,600 RPM is the maximum torque output. So there's a lot of grunt coming from the engine all the way up the line. Some good hot action here. Where's the wreck? Ooh, flipped over. That's what you get for being stupid, dumbass. We're climbing some steep hills here, and this motor's not even breathing hard. Just tap the pedal and go. Definitely worth the 10 grand if you're going to be pulling a lot of gear. And a very smooth and quiet diesel as well. Very impressive. Might be more impressive if we get excellent fuel economy. Yet to be seen. 119 miles, 14.4 mpg. That's not too bad considering we went from 1,500 feet to around 6,500 feet in elevation. Did an awful lot of passing. Also considering the weight of this vehicle. I think it's almost 4 tons, something like that. More trips coming up. This highway trip is more level ground. Perhaps we'll get better fuel economy on this trip. Alright, second highway trip, 48 miles on even terrain, 22.8. Not me over with the feather, that's pretty darn good. Time to get off the pavement and see if this thing's rugged as it looks. Doing pretty good so far. This is a pretty nasty road. The suspension is doing a pretty good job absorbing the impacts, but I have noticed today and in the past that the Ford aluminum bodies have a tendency to shake a bit more than the steel bodies from other brands. I don't really consider that a problem, but it might bother some other people. If you want lighter weight, you have to go to aluminum. Take your pick. I'm in the mood for a steak dinner. How about you? Hey, this is a family show. Quit doing that. I hear the dead bones of somebody who didn't make it out of here. I guess their vehicle broke down. Must have been a Jeep. Off we go into the wild blue yonder. Thanks to this excellent ground clearance. Yeah, this is one nasty road, but we made it. Unusual for our large F-250. You need a high ground clearance vehicle to make this trail. But we did it. Gotta stop by the ranch house, make sure everything's okay. Gotta check it once a month. Who are you? What are you doing back there? Terrific. We got a rainstorm coming in. We'll be flooded, sinking in mud. Let's see if we can get out of here in two-wheel drive. I know we can do it. Well, this is a nasty storm we got. I'm probably going to get washed away and not finish this video. You'll never see us again, so better wrap up this video now. So what's my take on this Ford F-250 after a week of driving? I like the vehicle and the fact that these aluminum body Fords shake a bit more than the steel bodies of other competitors. It doesn't really bother me as long as it doesn't rattle, and I didn't hear any rattles, and that's good enough for me. As far as this Tremor package goes, if you're going to take your F-250 off-road, this should be considered mandatory. Definitely worth the price, no doubt about that. Having a 2-inch lift and a locking differential makes all the difference when you're going out in the dirt, especially if you don't like getting stuck. As far as the winch goes, I really don't need one, but if I did, I'd rather have a built-in one like this that looks nice instead of some aftermarket thing tacked on the front, looking ugly like a big wart on your nose. This is a better way to go. Definitely worth the $3 grand extra. I don't think I'm ever going to pull enough weight to justify the cost of a diesel, but if you are, this is definitely a sweet diesel to get. Very smooth, quiet, and economical to run as far as the fuel economy goes. I was very impressed. And this bright red paint got a lot of attention on the street. Everybody was making compliments. Going to spend that much money for a truck. It's nice to get compliments, I think. If you think the 77 grand price tag is too much, go shopping for an imported SUV and see what you get for 77 grand. Not much, especially when compared to this. Overall, this is one of the better Ford trucks I've driven lately, and I like it, and I really don't want to give it back, but gotta do it. Got another vehicle coming tomorrow. And here's the video made some other trucks we've driven. Just click and watch.